in this video we're going to be talking about 14 things you need to know before you visit Vietnam.
So these tips are going to be in a bit of an order. We're going to try and start from the least important to the most important thing. So make sure you stick around, starting at the airport.
So you've just got off a flight, you're kind of trying to make your way around the airport, you've been to the toilet, you've done everything you need to do, you've got a SIM card, all of that jazz. Next minute, you're outside and you need to get to your hotel.
So don't be a fool like us and trust any old person who walks up to you with grab on the phone. Because when we were getting a SIM card, this fella came up to us, told us grab driver, showed us on his phone, said he'd give us for that price. Then goes and puts us in an elevator, sends us down, we get down there and security are there.
Buttons, walkie-talkies.
The job lot. So they ended up booking us a proper taxi because that grab geezer was not a grab geezer.
So just order it on your phone, choose the pickup point and go to it safely and get in the car.
And it's far cheaper than taxis.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So another mode of transport that you'll use is night buses. Now these are the best way to get around the country if you're doing a long journey, because Vietnam is such a tall, long, thin country, it takes a while to get everywhere.
I wish somebody would have told me this before I got a night bus. Where you sit on a night bus is so important. Do not sit at the front on the top bunk next to the driver, because I guarantee you he will probably be smoking and on the phone to his mate at about 2:30 in the morning. All you want to do is go to sleep and you've got the whole thing rattling around, there's fag smoke in your face, he's having a laugh. You just want to sit at the back, on the bottom, to yourself.
That's the best spot. Another thing with the night buses is the time of arrival. We arrived at somewhere called Pong Nha at 3:30 in the morning, so you've got to book 2 nights at least. So one for the night you get there, during the night, and then if you want to stay another night you'll need to book that one as well. Next, let's talk budget. Vietnam is the cheapest country we have been to in Southeast Asia. The beers are cheap, the food's cheap, transport's cheap, accommodation is cheap. So if you definitely got a small budget, here is the place to come.
We have a budget for £80 a day in Southeast Asia. Some places that's been very hard to stick with. Vietnam, absolutely fine. We never went over that budget. This is more of a cultural pointer, but in Vietnam, they don't see calling somebody fat or big or large or whatever as an issue. In the UK, you'd never say that and you'd never be offended or anything, but like I was on this rope swing thing and I was like, am I too big for this? In the UK, you'd be like, no! Over here, it's like, yeah, a little bit.
Am I too heavy?
A little bit.
So you just have to take it with a pinch of salt, because I really had to put on my big girl pants, didn't I? Literally. And I was like, right, let's just, yeah, so just a bit of a warning. In Vietnam, you will sometimes see some stray dogs. This goes for the same in any other Southeast Asia country. I personally am such a dog lover, but I didn't pet any. You just don't want to risk basically getting rabies. We are getting closer to the important ones now, so make sure you're still tuned in.
So next, let's talk about when to visit Vietnam. The best months to visit are between November and May. This is when it's driest and tends to be less humid as well. However, Vietnam is a long, thin country, so the weather at the north of Vietnam is the complete different to the south. In the north tends to be a lot cooler. In the south you get a bit more rain as it's tropical like Thailand, and in the central of Vietnam it's a little bit warmer than the north, and you do get some rain in October, November, which can lead to flooding in places like Hoi Chi Minh, because we experienced a bit of that. There's a really good website for this, so I'll link that in the description.
This one is a bit of a touchy subject, but a lot of Vietnamese people eat dogs. So we didn't really think that we'd be affected by this or see any or anything like that. But when we were in Hanoi, we went down this back street and unfortunately we saw a dog that was cooked. It was actually really, really sad. So just a bit of a warning, you might see one. And I just wish someone would have told me that. I probably will before I went.
Next, we need to talk to you about money. So when you use your card, you get a 3% charge. This happens pretty much everywhere in Vietnam, so you've got to be wary of that and try and use cash where possible. However, when you use cash, you need to draw it out of an ATM, which also has a transaction fee. This varies from each ATM, so there's a list here to show you the best ones to use. To use a travel card, so this can be Revolut, Sterling, Monzo, anything like that, and you'll save money on transaction fees.
The next point is another culture shock that we found when we first arrived in Vietnam. So in Hanoi, a lot of people would just sit on the street and have their dinner on these little chairs. Be prepared to walk on the road. Don't try and like step behind them because you might end up stepping in someone's chicken. So just do a bit of manoeuvring. But yeah, that was a bit of a shock to us, wasn't it?
Moving on to the roads is when you have to cross them as well.
Oh, gosh,
so there is like zebra crossing. So at home, if there's a zebra crossing, that means you have right of way to cross.
Wait for the green man.
Not here. Even if there is a green man, they can still go.
Don't mean anything to green man.
Basically, we used to just sort of make sure there wasn't that much traffic coming, and you've just got to go and just sort of
We just
put
hold
your hand
hands,
out,
didn't we?
and you just got to steadily go, don't step back, and just smoothly walk.
People won't expect you to like stop or reverse at all. If you do that, you'll just throw people. So you've just got to keep going. But be careful, please. Be careful. You're not being on the end of any lawsuits.
Another thing to mention is that you no longer need a visa to enter Vietnam, at least if you're from the UK. You get 45 days for free and you can just enter, no problem at all. It's also important for you to know the main activities and what to do and see. So we're going to name some that we've been to and that we'd highly recommend.
Ha Long Bay is definitely a bucket list idea. It's absolutely gorgeous there.
Prong Na is a great place to have a laugh. There's the duck stop and the monkey bridge, but if the monkey bridge is broken like it was when we went there, it's still a good crack.
In Hoi An, there's lantern making, the Lantern River and the coconut boat. They were all fantastic and it was our favourite city in Vietnam. Another point which we should mention is if you're in Hoi An and you visit like the big river where all the lanterns go across, try and get on a boat which is right by the main bridge. We got on one a little bit further and we're pretty sure the guy didn't have a permit to go up to the pretty part of the river because we went down where nobody goes. So make sure you go where all the action is and maybe pay a bit more than we did as well.
If you want to see our experiences of Vietnam, we have done a full series of our time there, so you can watch that after this video.
This will include what's best to do in Vietnam and all the great activities that we did as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. We hope it's been useful. We've divided it all up into chapters for you so you can go back if you're unsure about anything. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. We'll try our absolute best to answer them. So thanks again.